All right, buckle up because today we're kicking off a brand new series where I predict the outcome of every single division in the NFL. And we're starting right here with the NFC North. Now, this isn't just a random pick. This is a division that dominated in 2024. They had 3 11-win teams, and that's ridiculous. A .662 win percentage. That was the best in NFL history. But here's the twist. They all faced a reality check in the playoffs because they all walked away 0-3 when it really mattered. That's right. They went from having 3 11-win teams to 0 playoff wins, which is wild. So the question isn't just like who's good. It's who's learned from the flameout and who's about to get exposed this upcoming season. So this episode, we're talking identity crisis, revenge arcs, and rising superstars. So let's dive into the drama. To no one's surprise, coming in at number 1, winning this division is the Detroit Lions. I have them at 13-4. Now look, this team lost both coordinators. Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are gone. Historically, that's devastating. Only 4 teams in the last decade have lost both top coordinators and made the playoffs in that following year. So this is not normal. It's like ripping out the brain and the heart of your game plan. But here's where the Lions might be a little bit different. Organizational depth, which is wild to say about the Lions. But Dan Campbell and GM Brad Holmes built a machine. And there's only 2 players remaining from the 2020 roster when they first came in. So this is like an entirely new DNA. They transformed this team from the league's biggest punchline to being a legitimate powerhouse. And that kind of starts with Jared Goff. He was in his bag last year, 4,500 yards, 33 touchdowns. He's not flashy, I know, but he's become hyper-efficient with this system. He's got command, confidence, and chemistry with his weapons. And he's playing like, honestly, a true franchise guy. Playing like that the number 1 overall that the Rams drafted him to be. And it's not just him, because this skill group is stacked. I mean, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta. Like, good luck doubling any of those guys. They stretch you horizontally, vertically, particularly with play-action nightmares. So it's your pick-your-poison football. If you play soft, they hit you with Gibbs underneath. You play aggressive, Williams is torching you deep. But the real wild card to this team's success isn't necessarily on the offensive side because they've got that handled. It's on the defensive side, and it starts with this guy, Aiden Hutchinson. He might be fully healthy and hungry after missing playoff time and most of last season. And let's be real, he was the soul of their defense. So if he can stay upright, this unit definitely takes a leap. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he flirts with like 15-plus sacks. Now, defensively, they also quietly upgraded depth at linebacker and safety, so now they have more flexibility in nickel and dime packages, and that definitely matters in a pass-happy, modern NFL team. I mean, in a pass-happy, modern NFL era, and they're going to have tons of teams on their schedule that are pass-happy. So, but that's a lot of good, right? But here's where I pump the brakes. Their schedule. Their schedule is brutal. They face 11 teams that made the playoffs last year. That's a .571 strength of schedule. Plus, they play 9 tough road games against Kansas City, Philly, Baltimore, etc. Like, brutal doesn't even begin to describe it. But even with all that, talent always wins, culture always wins, and the Lions are only regressing from 15-2. But let's be real, they're still going to own the North. It's just by barely. And that's because coming in at number 2, which I hate to say as a Bears fan, but number 2 on this list, I have the Green Bay Packers coming in with a record of 12-5. Now, Green Bay's probably the most balanced team in the division. They didn't blow it up like Chicago. They didn't get gutted like Detroit. And they got slightly better. You know, steady hands, smart moves, and they still have a QB that's, I'd say like an ascending star, I would say. Because in 2023, Jordan Love went crazy. I know that's 2 seasons ago, but still, he had 32 touchdowns, over 4,200 yards, and he did it without a true wide receiver 1. But in 2024, he definitely had he regressed this year. It was definitely a down year for him. Inconsistent mechanics, dipping completion percentage, and his interception rate climbed. Still, you can't ignore the arm talent and the leadership. And let's be real, that man can still throw a zip of a ball. So the big question is really, was 2023 the ceiling for Jordan Love, or is this a glimpse of what he can be with better consistency? Or was that just a glimpse of what he can be? Right? Like, is that the cap of him, or can we see a bounce-back season? And I feel like with Matt LaFleur still at the helm, I still feel like Love can have that bounce-back season because, let's be real, Matt LaFleur is easily a top 5 offensive mind in the NFL. And to be honest, I kind of think he's underrated as a head coach. And not only is it relying on Jordan Love, but they also added some offensive weapon because in the first time in 20 years, the Packers drafted a wide receiver in the first round. Like, think about that. 20 years they've never done it. And they took Matthew Golden. So this gives Love a fresh weapon with serious upside. And it could be the X factor in getting him back to 2023 form. And I know, I just got a caveat here. I know if Aaron Rodgers was watching the draft, he was probably pissed seeing that they took Matthew Golden because that's all he wanted every year was just a number one wide receiver. But never happened for him. But not only was it the weapons that got improved, they did add Aaron Banks to the O-line, which he was already solid. He's not great, but he's not bad. But that's a nice acquisition. And so hopefully that can help protect Love up front, right? Because this is an offense that finished top 10 in both points and yards. And they did it with a young rotating receiver core. Now, also imagine what could happen if Christian Watson actually finally stays healthy. That's a big if because he gets freaking injured every year. But if he can stay healthy, now you got Matthew Golden. Like, this could be even better of an offense than what we saw last year. So, I also would say defensively, though, they're sneaky elite. They added in Nate Hobbs at corner, and then they also got Valentine, so that should help get them more reps. So, this secondary, which was already top 10 last year, could quietly become one of the best ones in the NFC. And their safety play improved from the free agency before, and now they've got a young front seven that's flying around. So, I mean, look. They lost Jair Alexander, but can we be honest? He barely played the last 2 seasons anyway with his injury. So I'm not concerned about Jair going to Baltimore. He wasn't playing at all. So his absence doesn't hit as hard as what it sounds on paper. And also, don't forget, this team is made for the playoffs. Now, they haven't gotten to the chip, but they consistently get to the playoffs. And 2 years ago, they were just a tip pass away from upsetting the 49ers in the divisional round. And then last year they played again in 2024, but they lost to the Eagles, the Super Bowl champs, in the wild card round. So, again, it's just another season showing that they're going to probably get to the playoffs, and that's easily why I have them number 2 on this list. And that's really due to stability. In this division, which has had a lot of full turnover, the Packers are one of the only teams that brings back the head coach, DC, OC, and you still have your quarterback, along with most of your core roster. And let's be real, that continuity in the NFL is an edge that can easily flip teams from being, middle of the pack to leading the charge. So that's huge. To say all that, don't be shocked if they're still in the title talks late, especially if Detroit slips, because they're kind of the biggest wild card here, because this team has the fewest question marks and easily the most upward momentum. And it's kind of hard to say this, but don't sleep on Matthew Golden. I'm not saying he's going to be the best wide receiver in the group, but I just trust any weapon in a Matt LaFleur offensive system because they've made it work with the kind of, I don't want to say no names, I'm not disrespecting them, but not wide receiver 1 options on the Packers so far. So now you actually get a true first-round graded wide receiver who, watch out. If you made it this far into the video, you the real MVP. For real. I appreciate you. And if you're a diehard NFL junkie like me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I drop NFL content almost daily. I'm talking breakdowns, rants, hot takes, all of that. And if you're a Bears fan like me, well, first off, I am very, very, very sorry because we have been through it. But if you want to suffer together in style, then check out my Bears podcast with my guy Dave. It's called the BFR Podcast, which is short for Bears Film Room. And it is the #1 show for the fans, by the fans, where we have weekly episodes, live shows, special guests, and most importantly, we don't sugarcoat a thing. And if you want to keep up with me, get a little laugh, or even see me smile during Bears games, then make sure to follow me on IG, TikTok, and Twitter at itsfickybaby, which is ITSFICKYBABY. All right, enough of the plug, I get it. Let's get back to the episode. All right, coming in at number 3 on the list, I have my Chicago Bears at 9-8. Now, we just talked about the Packers not changing at all. This team is the complete opposite. No team changed more this offseason in the NFL. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new head coach in Ben Johnson. Like I said, Dennis Allen. They also upgraded one of the weakest parts of their team with a new O-line, trading for Joe Tooney, trading for Jonah Jackson, and then signing Drew Dahlman. Like, this is a total makeover. It's like they pressed the reset button on offense and installed a new motherboard. And let's be real, they had to because Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times last year. Yeah, that's not a typo. 68 times. That was the 3rd most in NFL history, which is wild to think about. And yet, he still showed insane flashes. He had some Mahomes-level type off-platform throws. I know he's not Mahomes. I'm just saying he had some plays like that where it's like, wow, you see where his ceiling could be. Now, his deep accuracy was definitely an issue, but he did have a lot of poise for a guy who got sacked 68 times. Now, he was making magic behind a paper-thin line. So could you imagine what happens when he has time to throw? And now that he's protected, his weapons are even better than they were last year, which is hard to say. He's got DJ Moore, second-year Rome Odunze. They drafted Luther Burden in the second. They drafted Colston Loveland in the first. You still got Cole Kmet. Like, that is a filthy offense right there. Like, Moore's a yak monster. Rome is the guy you can go to for contested 3rd and 8 catches. I mean, Williams has all the plays in the playbook. I mean, has all the tools in the tool belt to kind of go to who he needs to based off the situation. But you might be asking, okay, yeah, we said that last year. They're always the winners of the offseason. But why are you saying this year 9 and 8? Well, why I'm not having them higher than what some people may have is because of chemistry. You cannot rebuild an offense from scratch and expect it to win 12 games like overnight. The timing takes reps. And so earlier on, especially like the first 4 to 5 games, a lot of mistakes will happen. Miscommunications will happen, which will cost drives, which will cost points, which may cause you to lose some games. And plus, they're still young. So, like, I have to double down. Mistakes are just going to happen. Caleb will throw some brutal picks. Ben Johnson will probably call some bad situational plays. I mean, it's part of the growth curve. And let's not ignore the defense either. Like, they're still a work in progress, mostly due to their pass rush. Even though it did improve with the addition of Grady Jarrett, I mean, all you got is Montez Sweat, really. Javon Dexter's stepping up, so that could be big there. But that defensive line is easily the weakness of that defensive side of the ball. And so because of that, if it's anything like last year where they can't get off the field on 3rd downs, Williams will consistently be playing from behind, and that's not a good sign, obviously. But this is still a team that might finish 9 and 8 and still feel like winners. I mean, they only won 5 games last year. Like 9 games and then you be itching towards a playoff, that's a win in my book. So if they can close tight games and stay healthy, they could be a real threat like the following year in 2026. So here's a quick question for y'all. Is Caleb Williams already the second best QB in the division, or does Love still hold the crown? Let me know in the comments, and don't be surprised if this sparks a QB rivalry that defines the next decade, which I would love as a Bears fan. Okay, so we obviously gave away the first 3, so we obviously know who's last here, and that's Minnesota Vikings. But I don't have them just being awful, right? And obviously they won like 12-plus games last year, so to see them 4th, you're probably already shaking your head. But I have them at 7 and 10. So, yeah, it's painful to say because they went actually 14 and 3 last year, and now they're rolling out J.J. McCarthy, who hasn't played a real snap yet. Like, the hype is real, but so is the risk. It's a rookie quarterback. Like, last year, Sam Darnold went off with 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns. Like, that's a massive hole for McCarthy to fill. And let's be real, he may be talented and raw, but he still hasn't played a snap in the NFL. And, yes, sitting a year helps. We saw that with Mahomes. But throwing him into the meat grinder of this division, like, that could easily be trial by fire. Now, I will say they did beef up their defense, which is great. They got Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave to pluck up the middle in free agency. Like, that helps. Those guys, at their best, are top 10, particularly like a PFF grade for interior defensive linemen. And then on the offensive line, they also added Ryan Kelly and Will Fries, which are both veterans with a lot of experience. So, overall, these are like solid additions. None of them really game changers, but they definitely did add in valuable pieces here in the offseason. Now, when you're looking at the offense, you still got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Like, those guys are elite, but it won't matter if McCarthy's running for his life. He doesn't pick up blitz, hot read timing. Like, the stuff that you expect from rookies that's going to happen, it's going to probably happen to him, and you're going to expect some ugly Sundays. So, plus, along with a lot of teams in this division, they've got the worst schedule set up in the league. Back-to-back overseas games. That messes with your rhythms. Players typically hate overseas games. Teams that do that normally underperform the next month, too, when you look historically, because the travel fatigue is real and is brutal on young quarterbacks. So, to say all that, I still love Kevin O'Connell as a coach. But even he can't scheme his way out of raw experience. So, Viking fans, I'm sorry, but this isn't your year, and it's truly just because you have a rookie quarterback starting. But if I'm proven wrong and McCarthy flashes mid-season, like, you might have a chance and you might have some hope. But kind of like the Bears, maybe your chance is going to be the following year, 2026. So this season for y'all is less about winning and more about evaluating. Is McCarthy the guy? Can the defense carry the weight? And who are the foundational pieces for the next contending window, which would be next year, right? So some overall takeaways, like the NFC North isn't sending 3 teams to the playoffs again. The regression monsters are definitely coming. The schedule's tougher, and every team has bigger question marks than they did a year ago. Detroit and Green Bay are the class of the division. Chicago's got future fireworks coming, and Minnesota's kind of on pause, waiting for the rookie quarterback to catch up with the league. But here's what I want to know from y'all. Who's winning the NFC North? Is it the Lions, like I said? Do you have the Packers? Or are we sleeping on someone like Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy? Let me hear your takes. I want to know who's the best quarterback, who's the most complete team, and who's taking a step back. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more daily NFL videos. And remember, stay sharp, stay dangerous, and I'm out. Peace.